Today we are going to read Chapter 8 of the Magic Treehouse Merlin Missions, number 19, Abe Lincoln at Last. So Chapter 8 is called Into the Rough. Jack and Annie huddled in the loft near Sam. As the wind whistled between the logs, Jack could feel the boy's sadness. "Thank you," Sam said, "but I have to get up now. I have to do chores, help Sarah." "No, not now," said Annie. "Maybe Sarah can take care of your chores when she gets home." "She'll be too tired," said Sam. "She has to walk a long way home. With Pa gone, she can't sleep. Here's wolves and wildcats all night." "Really? Are there wolves and wildcats around here?" said Jack. "Plenty," Sam said. "I have to do my chores." He tried to sit up. "Not until you feel better," Annie said firmly. "You lie here and rest. We'll do the chores. Just tell us what to do. We'll be happy to do it. Won't we, Jack?" Sure," said Jack. "What are your chores, Sam?" Sam lay back and took a deep breath. "Split wood," he said, closing his eyes. "Milk cow. Get water from spring." Jack slipped the pencil and notebook out of his backpack and wrote, "Split wood, milk cow, get water from spring." "Where's the spring?" asked Jack. "Just a mile away, through the rough," said Sam. "The rough?" said Jack. "No problem," said Annie. "Anything else to do?" "Make cornbread, then do homework in speller book," said Sam. Jack added to his list. "Make cornbread, homework in speller book." "That's it?" said Jack. "Yes," said Sam. "Good. We can do that," said Annie. "We can?" thought Jack. "Milk cow, make cornbread, and what's the rough?" "Sam, where's the rough?" asked Jack. But Sam had fallen asleep. "Sam," said Jack. "Shh, let him sleep," Annie whispered. Jack nodded. He followed Annie down from the loft and across the dirt floor. She pushed aside the bear skin and they stepped out of the cabin. "Why did you promise to do Sam's chores?" said Jack. "We don't know how to do all that stuff." "It was the only way to keep him from trying to work," said Annie. He really needs to rest. Don't worry, we can figure them out. What's first?" Jack looked at their list. "Split wood," he said. "How hard could that be?" said Annie. "There's the wood pile. There's the axe." She strode over to a stack of wood in the front yard. An axe was sunk into a fat log. Annie rubbed her hands together, then wrapped them around the axe's long handle. She pulled and pulled, but the axe didn't budge. "Let me try," said Jack. Annie stepped aside. Jack gripped the handle and pulled as hard as he could, but the axe stayed in the log. "Forget it," said Jack. "It's like trying to pull the sword from the stone." Annie laughed. "I guess we're not meant to be kings," she said. "So what's next?" "Milk cow," Jack read from his list. "All righty," Annie said cheerfully. She led the way to the shed next to the cabin. Inside the shed, a cow was eating hay and swishing her tail. A three-legged stool and a tin pail stood in the corner. "You try first," said Annie. "Me?" said Jack. "I tried the axe first," said Annie. Jack pulled the pail under the cow and moved the stool closer to her. Then he sat down. The cow gave Jack a look. Then she whipped him in the face with her tail. "Ow," said Jack. He leaned forward and stared at the cow's udder. Jack looked up at Annie. "I have no idea what to do," he said. Annie laughed again. "Me neither," she said. "We'll come back to this, too. What's next?" Jack jumped up from the stool and looked at their list. "Get water from the spring," he said. "I saw 2 jugs by the door," said Annie. "I'll get them." She ran to the cabin and came back a moment later with 2 brown jugs. "Heavy," Annie warned. She gave one to Jack. The jug was surprisingly heavy. "They'll be heavier with water," said Jack. "This isn't going to be easy, since the spring is a mile away, through the rough, whatever that means." "I'll bet that's the rough over there," said Annie. She pointed to the woods on the other side of the clearing. Jack and Annie wound their way through the stumps and stone piles until they came to the woodsy area, thick with underbrush. Wild grapevines twisted through the bushes and around bare branches of small trees, binding it all together. "Looks rough, all right," said Jack. Annie pointed to a narrow path. "I'll bet that's how to get to the spring," she said. "Want to give it a try?" "Sure," said Jack. "Let's go." Carrying the jugs, Jack and Annie started down the path. They pushed aside tangled vines and branches. Crows, sparrows, and woodpeckers swooped overhead. Squirrels ran up and down the small bare trees. And here's a picture of Jack and Annie carrying the jugs, and it's through the rough. See how it looks like a lot of trees and stuff grown up? Would that be easy walking? No, it is rough. Down the path, the rough got rougher. The path nearly disappeared. The tangle of undergrowth was so thick that Jack began to lose what little hope he had. I can't see pushing our way through this stuff for a whole mile, he said. Me neither, said Annie. Let's go just a little further and see if it opens up again. Jack and Annie pushed past more brambles and vines. This whole journey is leading nowhere, Jack grumbled. No spring water, no split wood, no cow's milk. Worst of all, no Abraham Lincoln. We've missed our only chance to use the magic to have a private meeting with him. I know, said Annie, but we couldn't just leave Sam to try to do his chores. Offering to help was the right thing to do. I know, said Jack. It's weird, said Annie. Even though helping Sam isn't part of our mission, I feel like doing one good thing is somehow connected to doing another good thing. If we're helping Sam, we're also helping Penny. Yeah, said Jack. Despite his worries, he agreed with what Annie said. There's only one problem. We have to get this feather from... Yikes, said Annie. Jack looked back at her. Yikes what? You forgot we had to get a feather? No, yikes, did you hear that? She whispered. Hear what? Whispered Jack. He held his breath and listened. A growl, whispered Annie. Jack looked around, his heart pounding. Like, a wildcat growl? Or a wolf growl? He asked. Like that growl, said Annie. Jack heard the long, low growl. He heard twigs breaking. The hair went up on the back of his neck. See what happened.